Last night was the Fox News debates.
Uh-oh.
A number of questions were asked among the candidates. One particular question got a very interesting response.
Well, we're waiting.
If Donald Trump was convicted, would you still support him?
What?
Some hands were raised.
Oh, it's true.
One hand in particular paused.
What?
And he got called out on it.
Fuck.
I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this
See, now that's some bullshit.
is what's next. What's up, guys? Jazz Berganzo, what's next? Your daily dose. Hope you guys are doing well today on this Thursday. Well, it's the night after Fox News debates and also Trump with Tucker. Now, speaking of Trump with Tucker, I did watch the entire video, but I'm going to do that as a solo video on tomorrow's broadcast. And of course, not today because, of course, time restraint. But I'm neither going to concentrate on the Fox News debates as well, except for one particular issue that arose. And I watched most of the highlights. I did not watch the whole thing because, of course, Trump Tucker. But one particular thing caught my eye. And here we go. This comes out of Breitbart. Desantis looks around after candidates asked if they would support Trump if convicted in a court of law. Interesting question to be posed. Republican candidates revealed Wednesday night if they would support former President Donald Trump if he were, quote, convicted in a court of law, with some delaying raising their hand, including one particular person, Florida Governor Ron Desantis, who looked around first and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson standing as the only individual who refused to take that pledge. Quote, you all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Donald Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party choice? Please raise your hand if you would, Brett Baer asked the 8 candidates on stage. Anti-woke businessman Vivek Ramaswamy was the first candidate to raise his hand, followed by several others, including Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, some guy, Doug Burnham, whoever he is, and of course the action prompted cheers. DeSantis could be seen glancing over Ramaswamy's side of the debate stage, proceeding to raise his hand after 4 of his challengers already did. At that point, former Vice President Mike Pence raised his hand, followed by a hesitant former governor of New Jersey, yes, king of the buffets, Chris Christie. Of course, Hutchinson did not raise his hand. Town Hall called this. Every candidate on stage except Asa Hutchinson said they would support Donald Trump in a general election even if he was convicted. Chris Christie retracts his hand raised a moment later, indicating that he really wasn't raising his hand.
If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Now, you would think it was almost immediate. You know, didn't notice really any long pauses or anything like that. But, of course, you had those who had issue. Wow, Ron had to check out the rest of the stage to decide whether or not to raise his hand. Pathetic, Trump War Room exclaimed as others made similar observations. Another, Twitter X, tweeted, whatever it's called. DeSantis literally looked around to make sure it was safe to raise his hand. What a puss. Ron DeSantis didn't raise his hand right away when candidates were asked if they still support Trump if he was convicted. He paused and looked at other candidates before he raised his hand. Wow, that was weird. Moderator just asked if Trump was a nominee if he was convicted. Would you support him? A bunch of hands went up. DeSantis looked around first, then raised his hand. Terrible. Every Republican except Christie and Hutchinson, whatever his name is, Asa, who cares? They would support Trump if they were convicted. DeSantis looked around first to see how others were answered and then raised his hand late. A very humiliating moment. Asa defended his decision to leave his hand down, reasserting that his belief was Trump is morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on J6. Of course, those insurrectionists. Quote, more people understanding the importance of including the conservative legal scholars who say they may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment from being president again, which is, of course, not something I heard from yesterday, as a result of the insurrection. This is something that could disqualify him under our rules, under the Constitution. And so obviously I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony, Asa said. who has called on Trump to drop out of the race on more than one occasion. Watching it in real time last night, and then watching it again this morning, it's not like he stood there and went and did a Jeopardy. Okay. I'm sorry. No, it was slight. You know, if you're watching it in real time, it's slight. It's like if you watch something in super slow-mo, oh, look what he did. Exactly. And that's how some Trump supporters, MAGA supporters, took it. Me, didn't matter any. The fact of the matter is that with all the indictments thrown at him right now, and what are we up to, 1,000 now? The fact of the matter is that I said it in prior videos. I said all it takes is one to nullify him as candidate for president of the United States. One. That's all it takes. And that's all Democrats are depending on. They're throwing enough spaghetti on the wall, hopefully one strand sticks. But it's understandable that if this were to happen, and he were to be convicted, and he were to be sentenced, because that's usually what happens after a conviction, how can you really say that you can stand there and say, I will vote for a man who just got convicted and is going to possibly serving either A, jail time, or at home in Mar-a-Lago with an ankle bracelet on? And then who's going to run the country? Can you really honestly sit there without thinking about it, without hesitation, and say, yeah, I can support this guy? I've said it in prior videos, and I will continue to say it. I voted for him 16 and 20, and I will vote for him in 24 if he beats the rap and beats Desantis fairly and squarely without, quote, shenanigans that we had Fraudenschneid in 20. And I'm standing by it. And I did a post yesterday on Instagram in regards to questions regarding Trump, of course, sitting down with Tucker, which happened a week ago. But I'll talk about that tomorrow on an extensive video in regards to the Trump-Tucker talk and what questions were asked and what weren't, or what was missed. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please don't comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Never miss a thing, excuse me. And we'll see you next time. Peace.